Transport Minister, this is your top story, Fikile Mbalula, offering his condolences to the families of those 28 passengers who died in a bus crash between East London and Butterworth. The bus was apparently travelling from Cape Town.
So the accident took place on a notorious section of the N2 known as K Cutting, south of the K River. It's known for its perilous twists and turns. The Road Traffic Management Corporation says preliminary investigations show that the bus driver lost control, causing it to overturn.
Yeah, in fact, the driver is among the casualties. 6 other people injured, with 1 still in a critical condition. Let's stay with the story. Eastern Cape Transport spokesperson Unathi Binqose joins us now via our video link. Unathi, I mean, words can't begin to describe what an incredibly heartbreaking story this has been. 28 lives lost. What do we know so far? In fact, any new developments in what we know since yesterday?
Look, Michelle, we can only hope and pray that things won't get any worse than they already are. Yes, it is 28 people who have perished on the scene of that accident, and we've got 6 more people that are in hospital. Of those 6, 1 is critical. Others are serious, certainly not life-threatening, and we're hoping and praying that they will hang on to life. But for those who like to see positivity in the face of adversity, we can tell them that we have 24 people who escaped that accident relatively unscathed, those who did not require any hospital admission. And the youngest of those is an 8-month boy who, along with his mother, were traveling to a funeral in Tsolo from Cape Town. So that is the positive out of all this. But we are looking at the possible cause of this accident.
Of the 28 people who died in that accident, Unathi, can you describe to us who these people were, some of them?
Look, at this moment, the identification process is set to start this morning. And the priority for us last night was to save as many lives as possible, to ensure that no dead bodies left on the scene. And a lot of that recovery was done under the cover of darkness. It was really late, and we couldn't quite identify those people. But they were certainly traveling from Cape Town to various towns across the former Transkei. And speaking to the survivors, the majority of them were going home for such things as funeral services of relatives, others for traditional ceremonies. As you know, that for a long time those things were not allowed to take place, so they were going home to do those things. So it is a variety of people, but it is mostly elderly people, and of course we understand that there was a young boy among the deceased as well. But the identification and the identity of those who have passed on is going to be revealed no later than today. When the family members are coming through to help us identify those who are in hospital and those who have sadly perished in this accident. And last night already we were inundated with phone calls from people who have relatives who were on board that bus. And even this morning I was still getting phone calls from people who are anxious to find out whether their relatives managed to survive or not. And that process is set to start at 9 o'clock this morning at a government mortuary in East London.
Yeah, that harrowing process now, Unathi, to get underway, as you say, of families now traveling to come and identify their loved ones. The bus company involved in this crash, has it come forward?
Look, there was a representative of the bus company who was at the scene, and I suppose it was a person who was an assistant in that bus. And of course, the co-driver was among the survivors, but he is among those who are in hospital. But we haven't had a chance to speak to them because the accident itself happened very late in the day. But we will be in contact with them, and of course, we'll take a closer look at the bus to see what contribution it may have had towards this accident. Yes, we know the topography of that area, we know of its twists and turns, and all those things are calling for road users and drivers in particular to show some respect to that road, because some are downward slopes and some are upward. And in this case, it was a very sharp curve on a downward slope, so the driver may have lost control there. And the fact that there was no other car involved, it certainly hints on that. But it will be curious to know if the bus contributed in the accident. But listening to the survivors, they did lament the fact that even the bus itself was giving them problems ever since they left Cape Town, and things got worse about 30 kilometers to where it finally ended. So we'll take a closer look at the bus, and if the bus company has to be held accountable, they will be held liable.
Sure, that's incredibly worrying, isn't it? That the survivors are telling you that even from leaving Cape Town, the bus was experiencing problems.
Certainly they did, and they didn't miss their lives when it came to that. And they say on uphills it was even reaching a walking pace. That's how bad it was. I mean, it was a main hazard on the traffic on the road if it was getting to that point. So it would be curious to know what was wrong with the bus itself. Unfortunately, the driver is among those who have died, and therefore he can't speak for himself. But I'm sure there will be a lot that we'll get from the bus itself. We've managed to retrieve it, and it is kept at a police station. And our crash investigators will be landing from Gauteng to come and take a closer look at the bus, so we can get to the bottom of this. But yeah, it is a sad situation, and it's certainly one of the worst accidents that road has ever witnessed, and not during my time as a journalist, and certainly not while I've started working for government. In recent memory, 28 people's lives, people lost in an accident on the N2 is something that I haven't heard of in the past. We've seen such accidents happening in rural roads where maintenance can be put into question, but certainly not in this case. It was a relatively good road, well maintained by Sandra.
So, Unathi, as you say, a lot of the things that people were not allowed to travel for before, that is now picking up. More and more people traveling to funerals and the like. Having said that, are there now things that the Eastern Cape Transport Department will be looking at in terms of, you know, upskilling the roads, perhaps more visible policing, given that more people are on the roads?
Michelle will definitely draw some lessons from this bad experience and they adjust accordingly. Of course, those processes had already started. I mean, we just opened a traffic station some 2 kilometers to where the accident took place. It is a 24-hour service kind of a traffic station, only though for busy periods like your Easter and your festive. And maybe an accident like this one will be a catalyst that will get us to open it 24 hours every day. So we are looking at that, and of course we will do a retrospection on us as well on what we can do in order to avert this carnage. But of course it will take more than just authorities, it will take more than just officers, it will also take road users to be extra cautious and respect those parts of our roads and that are calling for that. And we do have confidence in our people that they will also learn from an accident like this one and ensure that they do not become part of these God statistics of people who are losing their lives on the road. So we are calling on them to work with authorities in ensuring their safety on the roads.
Unathi Binqose, thanks very much for your time. He's spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Transport Department. Heartbreaking story there. 28 passengers dying in a bus crash between East London and Butterworth. 6 people, we are told, are injured in that crash. 1 is still critical. 24 people escaping that accident unharmed.